Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. It's going to be a little different this time. We're going to be focusing on just a single source, excerpts from one person's keynote speech, actually. And let me tell you, it's a pretty fascinating story. We're talking about someone who lived on 3 continents before even starting college, had a dream inspired by the TV show Dallas, of all things, and overcame some seriously tough challenges along the way. To help us really dig into all of this, I've asked our expert to join us today. So what are your initial thoughts about this speech? What jumps out at you?
Well, first of all, it's pretty amazing how much the speaker's life seems to have been shaped by, change and adaptation. I mean, she's a 1.5 generation immigrant. So she's got this unique blend of cultures influencing her. And when you think about her parents, too, their stories are incredible examples of resilience.
Yeah, absolutely. Her father served in the Ethiopia military, became an engineer, and then somehow managed to get a law degree in just 2 years, all while supporting a family.
It's incredible. That takes serious drive.
It really does. And her mother's story is just as amazing. Think about it. She went from collecting firewood in a village with no electricity to raising a family in America.
That's a huge leap. Talk about strength and adaptability. It makes you wonder what kind of impact those experiences had on the speaker growing up.
Well, she does talk about her mother's childhood dream. She wanted to marry a pilot, which kind of shows you the limited options that many girls faced back then.
Right, but her mother ended up defying those expectations in a big way.
Oh, she definitely did. Carved her own path.
Hmm.
And then there's the speaker's own experience, high school on 3 different continents: Ethiopia, Israel, India, Pakistan.
Wow. That's not your typical teenage life.
Not at all. I can only imagine how much being exposed to all those different cultures and environments must have shaped her worldview.
And she mentions getting sent to boarding school, too. So it sounds like she had a bit of a rebellious streak as well.
A little bit of spice always keeps things interesting, right? But here's where it gets really cool, I think. So she sees her father working on radio communications, and bam, she's totally hooked on the idea of aerospace engineering. It's like a light bulb went off in her head.
Yeah, it's a great example of how seemingly ordinary moments can have a huge impact on our lives. Though it's kind of a bummer that her advisor tried to discourage her from engineering
I know. It's frustrating to see how those biases were so prevalent.
and instead pushed her towards business.
Yeah, but you know what? This is also the same person who chose to go to college in Kansas because of the TV show Dallas.
Huh, it's a pretty unique way to pick a college.
You gotta admire that kind of optimism.
Oh, right.
But I mean, can you imagine the culture shock? Going from such a globally diverse upbringing to Kansas.
Had to be a huge adjustment.
Absolutely. And from the sounds of it, it wasn't easy. She talks about racking up a $600 phone bill, just calling home every night.
Wow. You can really feel that homesickness and struggle to adjust. A whole new way of life.
It's funny and heartbreaking at the same time. But I think ultimately it shows her determination to make things work. And you see that determination throughout her career, too, getting her MBA while working her first job. Clearly, this is someone who doesn't back down from a challenge.
Then we get to kind of a pivotal moment. A software engineer meets a chef, and boom, love blossoms.
Not exactly your typical love story, right?
No. But it's a good reminder that sometimes those unexpected connections are the strongest.
Yeah.
And they had more than just, opposites attract going on. They both had this shared experience of escaping a socialist regime, which must have created a really powerful bond between them.
For sure. And it's interesting how their wedding vow emphasizes fully supporting each other. It really highlights the foundation of their partnership.
Yes, and that support becomes even more important as they start building their family. The joy of their first son, the devastating loss of their second to Savids. These are such emotional experiences.
It's heartbreaking to even think about. But even in the face of such tragedy, they find a way to keep going. Their twins are born. They don't let the darkness consume them.
That speaks volumes about their strength and their commitment to family and hope.
And through it all, her drive to learn never fades. Even with career changes and having to relocate, she sets her sights on getting a PhD, always striving for more.
It's really inspiring, this dedication to personal growth,
Hmm.
even with everything else going on in her life. And don't forget, she's raising a young family through all of this, too.
Right. And her husband steps up to be the primary caregiver
Yeah.
so she can pursue this dream. That's a pretty incredible example of teamwork and support.
It makes you realize how crucial a strong support system can be.
No doubt. But then just when it seems like things are settling down, another obstacle pops up. Company mergers and acquisitions.
Yeah, those are always tough to navigate. A whole new layer of pressure and uncertainty.
But once again, her ability to adapt shines through. She finds a way to make it work. even lands a remote job so she can keep going with her PhD program.
This is someone who's constantly facing change and finding solutions.
It seems like it. Which unfortunately leads us to one of the most difficult parts of her story. The news of her husband's diagnosis, esophageal cancer.
That's where her strength is truly tested. Just try to imagine juggling a demanding PhD program, caring for a sick husband, and being there for your children, all at the same time.
It's almost unimaginable. But somehow, she does it. She finds a way to be there for everyone and still keep moving towards her own goals.
She even talks about working on her dissertation at the hospital while her husband slept. It's a powerful image, that dedication, that focus, even in the midst of so much chaos.
And don't forget, she had to overcome her childhood fear of blood and needles to become his caregiver. Talk about facing your fears head on.
Another example of her incredible adaptability.
And then, just weeks before her husband passes away, she graduates with her PhD. It's a truly bittersweet moment.
It really is. But it shows her incredible resilience and commitment. This reminder that even in the darkest times, we can still achieve incredible things.
Absolutely.
Right.
But of course, the story doesn't end there. Now she's a single parent navigating grief and figuring out how to move forward after such a profound loss.
A whole new chapter with its own set of challenges and adjustments. But even in those raw, difficult moments, her strength continues to shine through.
And that resilience ultimately leads her to find new ways to connect with others, to give back to her community.
Exactly. She doesn't let grief define her. She chooses to move forward, to find meaning in her life, even after experiencing such a profound loss.
It's a powerful message. So before we dive into the next part of her story, I think it's important to just pause here for a moment. Let all of this sink in. What are your initial takeaways? What resonates with you the most so far?
It's definitely her ability to adapt and find strength in the face of constant change. Life throws a lot at her, but she never lets those circumstances dictate her path. She finds a way to make things work, even when it seems impossible.
I couldn't agree more. There's a powerful lesson there for all of us. Life is unpredictable, full of unexpected twists and turns. But it's how we respond to those challenges that really matters. And this speaker's story is a testament to the human spirit's ability to persevere, to find meaning, even in the most difficult of circumstances. But we've only scratched the surface. There's so much more to uncover in this incredible story. We'll be back in just a moment to continue our deep dive into this remarkable keynote speech.
Picking up where we left off, I'm really struck by how much she talks about connections and metamorphosis in this next section. It's like these aren't just buzzwords for her. They're really woven into her whole experience.
It's true. I love how she specifically mentions that her PhD wouldn't have been possible without the connections she made at that MINC-WIC conference back in 2013. Really highlights how important networking and mentorship can be. Sometimes we need someone to believe in us, to show us the way.
Absolutely. It's like that saying, it takes a village, right? Success is rarely a solo act. We need people supporting us, guiding us, inspiring us. It all helps us reach our full potential.
Couldn't agree more. And then there's that metamorphosis theme, which is equally powerful. She talks about how being exposed to all those different cultures and, all the unexpected twists and turns of life, it all shaped her into the person she is today. It's like she's embraced change as a catalyst for growth.
What's really interesting to me is how she frames this metamorphosis, not as something that just happens to her, but as an active process. She didn't just let life wash over her. She learned from every experience, adapted to new challenges, and consciously transformed herself.
It's like she took all those lemons life threw at her and made the most amazing batch of lemonade you've ever tasted. That's serious resilience. And it ties in so well with her final message about dreaming big, Aim for the stars, and even if you land on the moon, you're still closer than you were before.
I love that analogy. It's so hopeful and empowering. It acknowledges that setbacks are going to happen, but it encourages us to keep striving, adjust our course if we need to, and never give up on our aspirations.
It's like she's saying, hey, I get it, life is messy, things don't always go according to plan, but don't let that stop you from reaching for your dreams.
Exactly. And that message resonates so deeply with her own story. From that childhood dream of aerospace engineering, sparked by seeing her father at work, to eventually achieving her PhD. Even with all the unimaginable challenges she faced, she just kept moving forward, one step at a time.
It's a testament to the power of perseverance, and it reminds us that dreams aren't static destinations. They evolve with us as we grow and change. What might have felt like a detour could actually lead to a more fulfilling path.
It's like those winding roads that eventually lead you to the most breathtaking view. Sometimes the journey is just as important as the destination itself.
So let's bring this back to our listeners for a moment. What does all of this mean for someone who might be feeling stuck or discouraged, in pursuing their own dreams?
Well, I think the speaker's story offers a really profound lesson in resilience. It's not about avoiding hardship. It's about finding the strengths to navigate it, to learn from it, and to come out on the other side even stronger.
It's about embracing those bumps in the road and realizing that those bumps can lead to unexpected detours that can enrich our lives in ways we never imagined.
And it's also about remembering that support systems are crucial. Whether it's family, friends, mentors, even a community of like-minded individuals, we need people to lift us up, cheer us on, and offer guidance along the way.
We're not meant to go through this journey alone, and maybe most importantly, this story is an invitation to rekindle those dreams we might have put on hold. Those passions that got tucked away because life got in the way. It's time to dust them off, reassess them, and find a way to make them a reality, even if it's just one small step at a time.
It's like she's saying, look, I've been through it all. I've faced challenges you wouldn't believe. But I'm still here, still dreaming, still striving. So can you.
It's a message of hope, of resilience, of the incredible strength that we all have within us.
And it's a powerful reminder that our stories are never truly finished. There's always another chapter waiting to be written.
I love that. It's like a gentle nudge to embrace the unknown and to trust that even when things feel uncertain, there's beauty and growth to be found in the journey. But before we get too philosophical, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about a really practical takeaway from her story.
Absolutely. One thing that really stood out to me was her emphasis on taking action. She didn't just sit around and wait for opportunities to come her way. She actively sought them out, whether it was attending conferences, pursuing additional education, putting herself out there to connect with other people in her field.
It's like she understood that dreams don't just magically appear. You have to put in the work, even when it's hard or inconvenient. And sometimes that means stepping outside your comfort zone and taking risks.
Think about her decision to pursue her PhD while raising a family and dealing with all those career changes. That took serious courage and commitment. But she didn't let fear hold her back. She embraced the challenge and created a path for herself, even when it meant making sacrifices and adjustments along the way.
It's a powerful reminder that we have more control over our lives than we often realize. We might not be able to control the circumstances, but we can choose how we respond to them. And sometimes the most fulfilling paths are the ones we create ourselves, through hard work, determination, and a willingness to embrace the unknown.
And let's not forget the importance of finding joy along the way. Even in the midst of all the challenges, she still found those moments of lightness and humor. Remember her story about choosing Kansas for college because of Dallas?
It's true. It's like she understood that life is all about balance. You need the drive and determination to push forward, but you also need those moments of joy and levity to replenish your spirit.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot between pursuing your goals with passion and embracing the unexpected detours that life throws your way. And I think that's a message that can resonate with everyone, no matter what stage of life you're in.
I couldn't agree more. So as we're wrapping up this part of our deep dive, I'm curious to hear what's resonating with you the most. What's standing out as a key takeaway so far?
I think what strikes me the most is this reminder that resilience isn't about being superhuman or never experiencing setbacks. It's about having the courage to keep getting back up, to learn from your experiences, and to keep moving forward even when things feel difficult. This speaker's story is a beautiful testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome adversity and find meaning in the midst of chaos.
I love that. It's a message that's both inspiring and empowering. It reminds us that we all have that inner strength within us, even when we doubt it.
And that it's a message that's relevant to everyone, regardless of their background or their circumstances. We all face challenges in life, but it's how we navigate those challenges that really defines us.
So before we move on to the final part of her story, I want to encourage our listeners to take a moment and reflect on their own journey. What are some of the challenges you've faced? How have those experiences shaped you? And what are some of the dreams you're holding on to, even when life feels chaotic?
It's a good time to pause and take stock of where you are and where you want to go. And remember, even small steps can lead to big changes over time.
Beautifully said. We'll be back in just a moment to continue our deep dive into this remarkable keynote speech and explore how this speaker's story ultimately unfolds. As we get into this last part of her story, what really hits me is it's not just about achieving success. It's about navigating all the messiness, the unpredictable stuff that happens in life, the losses, the setbacks, those moments when you just want to give up.
Yeah, absolutely. And finding a way to keep going even when it feels impossible.
Yeah.
I think what's so inspiring about her is she doesn't try to separate her dreams from the reality of her life.
Yeah.
They're all intertwined. shaping each other. Every challenge she faces, it becomes
Mhm.
part of her journey.
It's like that saying, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans.
Right. But she didn't let those unexpected things derail her completely. She found a way to make it work, adapt, and keep growing.
And that's such a powerful lesson for everyone. We can't control everything that happens, but we can control how we react. We can choose to let it break us, or we can choose to let it make us stronger.
And that's what her whole story seems to be about. Choosing resilience, choosing growth, choosing to keep dreaming, even when everything feels like it's falling apart, finding that little flicker of hope in all the chaos and fanning it into a flame.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a question. What dreams have you put on hold? What aspirations have you tucked away because life got in the way? It happens to all of us. It's easy to let those dreams fade when we're busy with work and family and all the demands of everyday life. It's such a good question to think about, and I think her story really challenges us to go back to those dreams and ask ourselves, what's one small step I can take today to rekindle that spark? It doesn't have to be anything huge. Maybe it's reaching out to a mentor, taking a class, or just finding a little bit of time to reconnect with that passion that's been waiting to be rediscovered.
Remember, even the smallest steps can make a big difference over time. And as our speakers so beautifully put it, dream big and aim high and shoot for the star. And if you land on the moon, then you are closer to the star than from where you started.
Such a great way to put it. It reminds us that even if we don't reach every single goal, the journey itself is so valuable. It's about growing, learning, becoming more resilient along the way.
And it's about realizing that those setbacks and detours aren't failures. They're just opportunities to adjust our course. Maybe discover a new path we wouldn't have found otherwise.
Well said. Well, as we close out this episode, I want to thank you, our expert, for sharing your incredible insights and helping us unpack this amazing story.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has inspired you to pursue your own dreams, no matter what obstacles you might face. Remember, resilience is a muscle that gets stronger every time we overcome a challenge. So keep those dreams alive. Keep striving for those stars. Until next time, happy diving.